shocking to him, and by the Hindustan Times, realistic concluded that she's inhuman. How could she be so heartless? How could she hurt her own child so brutally? She is not worth being a mother. But is this the reality? Today, the most important question that we have for all of you is she the villain or is she the victim? Presenting Postpartum Psychiatric Report. According to calculation, postpartum is the most critical and protective phase of motherhood, which we may suffer from. May we use postpartum depression or postpartum psychosis. She may start having a symptom any time between 2 days to 12 months post delivery. May we use the bout of unhappiness, which makes the mother anxious, irritable, and restless. Minimizing early onset on the postpartum life. But it is okay that affect 45 to 70% of mothers being lost. Ultimately, postpartum depression is very
Action. This is a medical emergency.
Let us now get a better insight by listening to the story of Darshini, a woman who suffered similarly. Having a baby is supposed to be a joyful experience for everyone. But I faced something absolutely different. Something that shook my very being. In January 2016, when we were expecting our first child, we couldn't be more excited. I always wanted to be a mother and nurture my own little one. 22nd October 2016 was a day that turned my life around. I had given birth to an angelic, healthy baby boy. And yet, all I felt was an emptiness that consumed me day by day. At first, I thought these feelings would go away, but things just got worse. I started to hear a loud banging on my door. But when I opened it, there was no one. The baby's cry started to irritate me. I felt like throwing him off my lap. I was not in control of myself or my thoughts. I could see horrific images of my baby lying dead in his crib. What was happening to me? I tried to tell my family that something was wrong, but they refused to believe me. Once, I left my child in the bathtub and he almost drowned. My family was furious. You turned us off to be a mother. They said, I knew I wasn't a good mother. I couldn't even feed, comfort and take care of my baby. I thought he would be better off without me. I couldn't take it anymore. That seemed better than this dreadful life. The little voice inside my head grew louder and louder. Kill yourself! It said, yes, that is the right thing to do. My child and I shouldn't be a burden on anyone. So I'll end both of our lives.
Unfortunately, the only times these cases are discussed is when they are published as news articles. But by then, it's too late.
On 27th October 2010, 26-year-old Deepika threw her infant daughter from the window of the pediatric ward at KEM Hospital, Mumbai. On 21st April 2018, a 29-year-old woman killed her 8-month-old son, mutilated his body and then attempted suicide. She was found sitting on the floor with the body of the baby on her lap, beheaded and disemboweled. And the one case that caught everyone's attention, a tragedy that still resonates. 20th June 2001, Andrea Yates drowned all 5 of her children in the bathtub of her Texas home. She then dialed 911 and waited patiently for the police to arrive. The only thing that stood between her and capital punishment was that she was diagnosed with postpartum psychosis.
These articles show us how important it is to know about these disorders so that we may prevent such serious outcomes. Dr. Nishchal Rawal, a renowned neuropsychiatrist, shares the same view.
To prevent such horrific or terrific accidents from occurring, for example in the form of suicide or killing near or dear ones, we need to treat them at the earlier stages. Raising awareness about these issues, reducing the stigma may help in a long way in making the persons at ease of seeking help at the earlier stage.
To assess the awareness on postpartum psychiatric disorders, we designed a cross-sectional study in the form of an online anonymous survey. Our study protocol was approved by the Institutional Ethics Committee. This was a two-pronged approach. First, to the non-medical fraternity and the medical undergraduate students. This is, to the best of our knowledge, the first of its kind in India. Second, to the medical fraternity. This included doctors such as obstetricians, psychiatrists, general practitioners, pediatricians, and also psychologists and nurses. Our inclusion criteria comprised of all individuals who consented to be a part of our survey. Our exclusion criteria comprised of all individuals below the age of 18. Healthcare professionals, apart from the ones mentioned before, were also excluded. In a span of 8 weeks, we received 1,289 responses from all over the world.
The answers to a simple question that we asked, have you heard of postpartum psychiatric disorders, revealed to us that a whopping 45% of our study population were unaware that these disorders even existed. Only a meager 15% knew that baby blues was the commonest disorder out of the 3. An astonishing 3/4 of the respondents were unaware that baby blues can be easily resolved by the support, love and care given by the family, and that treatment isn't always necessary. A large majority also had major misconceptions. Every second person thought that these disorders occurred only in mothers for whom the child was a burden. 2/3 of our study population were unaware that these disorders can precipitate in multiple pregnancies. A significant 14% were of the opinion that confining the mother to her house and preventing her from working during the antenatal period will reduce the occurrence of these disorders.
Any parent facing the social and emotional upheavals that a baby ushers in is at a risk for postpartum depression. Our survey analysis showed that more than 95% of a study population was unaware that postpartum depression can also affect the father. Our society subscribes to the cultural myth that men should be stoic and toughen things out. However, a report in the Journal of American Medical Association found that 10% of men worldwide showed signs of depression, often referred to as paternal postpartum depression. This is indeed a significant health concern that is largely overlooked by several healthcare providers. Men often present with classical symptoms with a personality shift. They may also experience full-blown panic attacks, loss of interest in daily activities, and episodes of abusive behavior.
These disorders have a devastating impact on the parents. But what about their effect on the child? 35% of our respondents were unaware that there are certain consequences that the children have to face. The mother's inability to care for her baby is a direct blow
to the special bond she has with it. The child is at a higher risk of developing adjustment problems due to the unstable environment. It results in hindered physical growth and development of social and cognitive skills. These effects are not only restricted to infancy, but may extend into the later years also.
The root cause of these disorders is not well understood. According to a report published by Johns Hopkins in 2013, the hormonal changes, genetics, and major life-changing events have been hypothesized as potential causes. It suggests that a drastic drop in the hormones during delivery is the most accepted cause that triggers emotional repercussions. Other predisposing risk factors that can increase the chances of a woman suffering from this are trauma during delivery, unplanned and teenage pregnancies, low income or social status, poor marital relationship, earlier history of psychiatric disorders in the female or the family.
As we all would agree, to treat any disorder, it is first important to recognize it correctly. This can be done by knowing the early signs and symptoms. Some of them are persistent sadness and anxiety, intense crying and irritability, insomnia and lack of concentration, difficulty in bonding with the baby, psychotic symptoms like hallucinations, suicidal and infanticidal thoughts.
Postpartum psychiatric disorders cloud her mind. They silence her and they urge her to self-harm. It is a vile, nasty monster. Now how do we tackle this monster? It can be done in 3 stages. Stage 1, prevention and screening. The most important are those measures that the parents can take together. These include attending ANC sessions, making pregnancy buddies, and being vocal about one's thoughts and feelings. Screening can help diagnose the disorder early. During our research, we found that an alarming 79% of the relevant medical professionals hadn't received any formal training on postpartum psychiatric disorders. Of those who did, 43% said it wasn't sufficient to diagnose the disorder. A staggering 59% admitted that these disorders go undiagnosed due to lack of knowledge of screening procedures. The Edinburgh Postnatal Depression Scale is a 10-question, valuable and efficient way for identifying patients at risk for postpartum depression. The Perinatal Psychiatric Service at NIMHANS Bangalore is one of the institutes in India, working towards providing guidance and support for any mental health problem related to pregnancy. But their efforts alone are not enough. Every maternity hospital, gynecology clinic and pediatric clinic in India should screen women at risk. This should be incorporated into their standard visits.
Stage 2, treatment. Joining support groups, attending counseling sessions, cognitive behavioral therapy and interpersonal therapy are an important component of the treatment. As the disease progresses, consulting a psychiatrist becomes necessary. He may prescribe antidepressants like SSRIs or second-generation antipsychotics which are safe for the baby during lactation. Only in refractory cases is electroconvulsive therapy indicated. Stage 3, management. One of the hurdles met while fighting against postpartum psychiatric disorders is the inability to breastfeed and take care of the baby. Breast milk banking centers allow mothers who are incapable of breastfeeding to fulfill the necessary nutritional requirements of their baby. Along with this, childcare centers are instrumental in providing help and support. Let's not forget, recurrence is also possible, so keeping in touch with your treating doctor is a must.
After being exposed to all of this information, we certainly couldn't turn a deaf ear to it. We realized that the main factor that leads to ignorance of these disorders is not just the stigma surrounding it, but also a huge lack of awareness. People just simply do not know. So, we chalked out a plan to target this from 4 corners. First, the families. The best support a mother can get is from her kin. We can help new parents by looking out for early signs and symptoms and encouraging them to approach a doctor. The first point of contact for parents are the gynecologists. Our team designed a poster in English and Marathi. We displayed it in 28 gynecology clinics and maternity hospitals. Second, media. We made a video using the stop motion technique. We posted this video on our YouTube channel and also attached it at the end of our survey so that each person that filled in our questionnaire also became aware of postpartum psychiatric disorders and learned from it. We request you all to watch and share this video on various social media platforms to give this issue the attention it deserves.
Third, ANC. Every mother is given antenatal care. What struck us is that importance is given to physical health but not to mental health. Thus, we attended ANC sessions at various local hospitals and showed the pregnant women and their families the video that we made. This was followed by an interactive session. Fourth, patients. We approach individuals who are suffering from these disorders and ask them to share their stories with us. Here's what they had to say.
If it's my luck or whatever, I was in labor for 54 hours. I don't know now, when I think of it, I had actually made up my mind I'll never see my child again, and I don't want to see him, he's purposely doing this to me. There are a lot of ladies who go through this. I didn't know what's happening, I didn't know what happens next. I was so scared to tell anyone because, you get judged for things. And I remember calling one of my best friends because I didn't know who else to call to tell her that this is what the doctor said, and coincidentally she also just delivered, so I thought she would understand, and she said things like it's all in your head, and don't take those medicines, you don't know what you're doing to your child, and you just need to get a hold of your life. To my surprise, I started seeing a lot of change in my husband as well. We learned that even he's going through depression. Lack of awareness is the problem. Lack of education is a problem. They tell you things to take care of once you have a child, like when to feed him, when to burp him, but no one tells you of what mental changes you may go through. And you know what, I thought about it, and even if I have to be on medication for the rest of my life, it's okay, and I'm fine with it. I'm moving on, I'm doing things that make me happy, and I've just learned to prioritize a little, where I've kept myself on the priority list without feeling guilty.
Once we have seen it in their eyes, we know we have a responsibility to do something. So let us pledge today to light her face up with the brightness of sunshine, to rekindle her lost spark of enthusiasm and strength, to heal her and make her feel whole again, to fill her world once again with love, support and hope. It is the power of a touch, a smile, a kind word, or the smallest act of caring, which has the potential to turn her life around.
I should not feel as though my child would be better off without me. I should not question my ability to be a parent. I should not lay awake at night already exhausted, thinking about how much worse tomorrow would be. Not all births will give joy, not all cries will be music to the ear.
So, it is our responsibility to convince her that you are not worthless, you are not helpless,
You are not weak.
You are not a burden.
You are not alone.
But most importantly, I am a mother and I am worthy of recovery.
My name is Anisha Wagh and I'm from 5th semester.
My name is Komal Tapasvi and I am from 5th semester.
My name is Ashwamaru and I am from 5th semester.
My name is Samreen Siddiqui and I am from 5th semester.
My name is Siddharth Bableshwar and I am from 5th semester.
I request the judges to start with the question answer round.
Okay, my question is postpartum psychosis or postpartum psychiatric disorders. Sleepiness is one thing which is pointed out to be, a major risk factor for these disorders. So have you jotted up any program which can help patients to deal with this?
Sleepiness, to differentiate from baby blues and postpartum depression, sleepiness, if the mother is unable to sleep, it hampers her normal day-to-day activities, her sleep, appetite, she is irritable and anxious, then we consider it to be different from postpartum blues, and we consider it a severe form to be a postpartum depression. And regarding the question, we haven't done anything regarding that.
You haven't done anything to...
It was an excellent presentation, and first of all, thank you for selecting this topic, because today you have created awareness about this topic among this auditorium. So what do you think, why don't gynecologist or primary care physician don't refer such patient to psychiatrist or don't take psychiatric opinion? What are the reasons?
So I think, as we all know, that mental disorders itself has a huge stigma surrounding it. So even during our research, when we spoke to doctors about this, they said it's a sad situation, but unfortunately we have to write antidepressants or antipsychotics as a last medication on our prescription because patients aren't willing to accept it. Or even in this case, if the mother is told you have a mental illness, our way of looking at it is not very broad-minded, and she's very afraid that the baby will be taken away from her, people will call her a bad mother. So everyone tries to deal with it without consulting a psychiatrist, is what we have found.
Okay. Suppose a mother suffers a depression, postpartum depression, for how much duration she should take treatment?
So the treatment depends. We give pharmacotherapic treatment only if it's moderate to severe depression or psychosis. It is suggested that the medication has to be continued for as long as is required because the risk of relapse is very high. But also there are chances that postpartum depression, if not treated properly, may convert into chronic depression where the patient will have to take medication lifelong.
This was an online survey, right? Yeah, how you had ensured that there won't be any repeated form submissions?
Thank you for your question, ma'am. The form can be submitted only once, so we have ensured that there will be no repetitions in the responses submitted.
Yeah, how that was done? Because usually, means whether they used to create some account for that, or you were taking email IDs or phone numbers, anything?
The email IDs are taken, email ID or like the phone from which the response was recorded. So in that sense, as to the best of my knowledge, repetitions will be avoided.
Okay. And how validation of the questionnaire was done?
We got the questionnaire validated from a team of experts which consisted of 2 psychiatrists and 1 obstetrician, and our survey was also validated by the Institutional Ethics Committee.
Okay.
Thank you so much for the questions, judges. Thank you, Team A.